All right. Welcome, everyone. My name's Pat McQueenie. I am the president of the Eden Prairie Chamber of Commerce, and this is our annual State of the City luncheon, one of our favorites for our members, as well as the chamber itself. Couple things we want to quickly highlight. Want to start by thanking some of our supporters that are here today. And I'm just going to have, if you're with the organization, give a wave so we can recognize you. And thank you for your sponsorship and support of programming. Starting with commuter services, they have the table in the back of the room. They have some great information, including road construction maps and updates, which I always appreciate. So please feel free to stop by and grab some information from them. Southwest Transit, I know our newer CEO, yes, Eric, nice to see you. Boulevard Wealth Management, Shields, I know some Shields staff off to my right. Star Bank, Starkey, and Excel Energy. Excel people, there we are, back in the room there on my left. So thank you all for being here. Also a thank you to Smoke and Hot Dish. I know they're busy serving up a great lunch, but let's give all of our supporters a round of applause. So jumping right into our presentation, we're going to start just thanking a couple of our key volunteers. The first is our committee member of the year, Betsy Martin. Both our two that we're recognizing today were unable to join us for our annual celebration last month, so we want to recognize them today. Betsy has been an amazing volunteer for us, has stepped up and really gotten involved leading our Young Professionals group. She led a session at our Twin Cities Young Professionals Summit. She's developed a curriculum for the Bites of Knowledge luncheons and also facilitates those programs. So if you don't mind, let's send a big thank you to Betsy. I should have said, and come on up. So next we want to recognize a longtime member with our President's Award. And this award is one that I present as recognition for a long time of service and the great leadership and opportunities that individuals present. And Aaron Nicklay kind of exemplifies that. If you don't know Aaron, you should, because he knows everything about Eden Prairie, lifelong resident, can tell you stories from way back when. But he has always stepped up in leadership roles when we needed him. He's been great at communicating with us and giving us new ideas and opportunities to make the organization better. So Aaron, please come on up and receive your award. So digging into our presentation, just quick overview of the chamber, who we are. We have over 300 members. They represent over 34,000 area employees, and we have over 100 volunteers that play a critical role in us doing the programs, the initiatives, being the voice of business that we do throughout the year. Showing a list of our board members, and I'm not going to call them out individually, but if you're a board member in the room, if you would quickly please raise your hand or stand. I know our incoming board chair is here, John Lee. I see a couple others. So thank you for being here and providing the time and leadership for our organization. Diving into some of the key programs from this past year and hitting on kind of some of those initiatives. We work closely with the school district, which I know you'll hear from Josh shortly, but some key things that we do in terms of helping business as well as helping students. Our job fair that we host every year gets about 1,000 students to come through and learn about jobs in our community. Our Home and Garden Show is a great way for businesses to showcase themselves to local residents And the networking events, especially like Business at Breakfast, are averaging about 40 different people that attend each and every time. So it's a great way to make connections. Other events that we did throughout the year, our ladies golf clinic sold out. So we talk a lot about some of the new initiatives and efforts that we do. And that's one of those that we're very proud of. We have a great group of volunteers heading that up. Unique experiences, the Minnesota Vikings and our Clay Target Classic have been member favorites for us to host each year. This year, or this past year in September, we hosted the Burger Battle, which is an amazing opportunity for us to promote local restaurants, nearly a $30,000 economic impact to those businesses that participated. And I know First Western has some of their staff here who are big sponsors and supporters of that initiative. The Young Professionals Summit had nearly 100 young professionals from across the Twin Cities participate. And then one of the amazing programs, and again, it's a bit of our partnership with Eden Prairie Local News, we hosted an artificial intelligence town hall meeting and had over 125 people turn out for that. But one of the amazing components of that was one of our members who presented, Jody Carey, was actually picked up worldwide because of that program and was interviewed by the Japanese equivalent of the BBC. So when we talk about the reach of our organization and where our members play a key role, happy to see the recognition that Jody received for that. And talking about global reach, our reach continues to grow as our Events and Relationship Manager Kirsten Barrett has stepped in the last couple of years and really done an amazing job with our social media and other marketing outreach, not only to our members, but other businesses in the community. So now I'm going to shift gears into our latest business survey and give some updates on what our businesses are telling us. This is a critical component of what we're tracking as economic activity in Eden Prairie. So as you can see, for the most part, our businesses did well in their net income from previous years. We do see some decreases, and we'll get into that a little bit with economics. But one of the big things is always taking a look at projections, and our businesses are optimistic for 2024. But when we ask, is the economy on the right track, 52% say no. And that's what we probably hear more and more is both the no, it's not on the right track, or the uncertainty of what is going on in our economy. And you can see some of the key dynamics of that. Everything costs more, inflation, those types of things that are impacting our business. Top issues, inflation and high costs, taxes, and government regulations. And that we have heard time and time again, a lot of things that took place at the Minnesota legislature this year has put additional burden on our local businesses. So when we talk about more of that, what has been the impact to your business? Higher sales tax. This is a 55%, there was an impact, 45% no impact. Dynamic. It just went into effect not that long ago, so one of the key things we'll continue to track. When we look at the rate of the overall tax burden, 88% of our businesses are telling us it is high or very high in the state of Minnesota. Digging into a little bit on the education front, and this is tied to future employees. What can the legislature do to help equip future workers? Some key things really tie into vocational training, the trades. We hear that time and time again. Great jobs, can't find people to work in the trades. And that is an area that the Chamber, again, will continue to push forward on and look for additional partnerships and ways to help business with that. So when we get into the paid family leave, sick and safe time, as you can see from our comments from our members, not real pleased with this. Disaster for small business, the amount of PTO offered through these programs could be highly disruptive to them. Concern for future business growth in Minnesota. These are the things that we will continue to share with our elected officials and push forward to try to make adjustments with our legislature. there was a bit of a theme on this one. I'm not sure if you can tell what it was, and we could have had more slides that said reduce taxes. And as you can see, that is the number one thing that our businesses say. And as we saw this past year, taxes went up on businesses. The other thing, and we had a bit of a conversation on entrepreneurship, they could incentivize business growth and successful entrepreneurship more. And that's, again, another message we'll share with our elected officials. All right, shifting gears to partnerships. So we're always very proud of our partnership with the school district. I know we have some of our student members in the audience. If you would stand up and be recognized, they're in the back of the room. So driving over, I saw a car that was student driver on the back of the car, and I kind of thought it's a little bit of what our student membership program does. It allows the students to get a firsthand view of what business people do, to interact with them, gain some experience, and have the opportunity to get internships and job shadows and identify future pathways. If you are not engaged with the high school or our local students, I would highly encourage you to talk to myself or Kirsten or any of the members of Josh's teams, and we'd love to get more businesses involved. All right, moving right along. Big events, as you can see on our calendar, the month of January, we actually have had 9 events this month. epchamber.org will always be your best reference for our events. Big event coming up is the Home Landscape and Garden Expo. Mentioned that March 9th. We're getting close to sell out, and if you want to be there, please contact us as soon as possible. So workforce continues to be a big issue, and we will continue to provide additional resources. One of the things we did this past year was a manufacturer's tour with students. So we actually went out and brought students into 4 different manufacturers locally here in Eden Prairie to showcase who they are and what they do. So this slide highlights partnerships, and this doesn't even cover everybody. I think we do our best to list everyone, but one of the key things that we pride ourselves on and have always prided ourselves on is partnerships. And so this list, not all-encompassing, is a great way to just see everything we do and who we do it with. But we also have a couple unique partners with us today. So I know there's members of the Southwest Metro Chamber. If you guys would please stand. I thank you for being here today. And I-94 are you in? Oh, please stand as well. So again, we look for those partnerships that's beneficial for their organizations and for ours and our businesses. So with that, I'm going to transition and bring up one of our big partners, which is the Eden Prairie School District, and have Josh Swanson, our superintendent, tell you all about the great things going on there. So Josh, take it away.
Thank you, Pat, for the welcome. And for the Chamber for hosting this event again this year. I also want to thank our partners at the city. You know, the 3 of us work really closely together. And so to Rick Atchow, City Manager, Mayor Ron Case, I don't know if he's in the room today or not, but appreciate you for hosting us today. I'm also grateful to have members of the school board here and quite a number of staff. And I just want to give them a thanks. So if you could all just stand up. If you're part of the school district, whether staff or school board, if you could just stand up, let's give them all a round of applause. I get to work with some amazing people in the work that we do for our students and our families and our community as a whole. I'm also really grateful to have all of you here and your interest in our community's schools and for the care that you have for what we're doing to prepare the next generation of leaders. You know, you're not alone in that commitment and care. Since Eden Prairie's earliest days, its residents have maintained a deep belief in the importance of education. In fact, the city of Eden Prairie and its schools have been sharing a stage for more than 160 years. The town board of Eden Prairie held its first meeting in one of the log schoolhouses on May 11th, 1858. And that log schoolhouse remained a hub of the community for decades to come. In the years that followed, Eden Prairie's agricultural fields bloomed into thriving centers of business and community. And its schools grew as well. The one-room schoolhouses came and went, and the city ended up joining others in a partnership for a joint school district. However, in March of 1924, the Eden Prairie Consolidated School District welcomed students and families back into their hometown, just a few blocks from here, down the road, into the brick building that's at the top of School Road. And that's where we continue to welcome our new families to our district and to the community. That brick building was an important gathering place for all of our residents, as it's one of the first electrified buildings here in Eden Prairie. It provided space for movies and voting and weddings, and as we've heard, even ironing. This new consolidated school and the community supporting it laid the foundation for the Eden Prairie schools that we know and absolutely love today. That's why all throughout this 23-24 school year, Eden Prairie Schools is celebrating 100 years of inspiring each. And at its heart, this is a celebration of community. I've been a part of the district for over a decade, since 2012. I'm superintendent, but I'm also a parent. I'm a community member here and a resident. And I've gotten to see how that continuous partnership between all of our organizations that are represented here in the room today and others that aren't make this an absolutely fantastic place for our kids and our families and our community as a whole. And that partnership is beyond inspiring to me. For our 100th anniversary, we recognize and honor the legacy of our growth and our achievement and excellence together. And I think some of our staff and students can talk about that even better than I can. So Grace, if you could roll a short little video here.
So you brought this in today. As you look at that, what do you think?
So many memories. 1996, our family moved to Eden Prairie. I knew when Dr. Bill Gaslin interviewed me that this was a district of excellence at the time, and a place not only that I wanted to be a part of, making a difference and contributing to the work here, but that I wanted our family to be a part of the community and our children to be a part of the district.
I searched a lot of schools and like the district and the benefits, the education-wise, academically, the future college-wise. I was really glad we made the right decision to move in this district because we get what we wanted, and it's really amazing.
The level of passion, the level of commitment, the level of willingness to jump in and learn and really, first and foremost, love them first is exactly what we need our staff members, our teachers, our administrators to be and to focus on.
My high school counselor, she has probably been the biggest help for all my classes since freshman year. She told me what classes she would recommend for me, what my options are, what the best route to go to get my credits done, but also focus on what I wanted to do in high school as well. And if I didn't have those meetings with her, I'd probably be completely blind.
I had this little hobby that I've done since I was a little girl, and that's painting rocks. So I would paint, take a little round rock and paint a bug on it, and then I'd give it to them. There would be someone that I drove in previous years, and they would come on and say, "Oh, Mrs. Karen, I still have my bugs." And it always amazed me that, you know, a little painted rock was something that always, you know, made that connection with the kids.
Because I love to work with the young kids, especially kindergartens, because sometimes it's it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable when they from home for young age and then they come to school and they see everybody speaking English. And then when they see me speaking their mother's language, they just stop by and they feel like, oh, somebody speaks same language, can be here, and then they talk to me, and that makes me really joyful.
A girl that I had since she was in kindergarten, just really shy and scared to be on the bus. And she started talking to me almost all the way to school. She still keeps in touch with me. She sends me letters about her life, and I love it. Now, of course, she's graduated, and it's interesting to see what's happened with her life. Those are the things that you try, the connections you try to make a difference in their day.
Eden Prairie school staff are involved. They're there if you need them. They make sure you know that you can get help from them if you need, but they always put themselves out there. And I think that's just the type of people that we have working at our school district.
Excellence amplified to a new level. We can't even imagine what the future will bring. We're preparing our children today for jobs we don't even know what will exist. And what I know is that we will emphasize on the right things, ensuring that our children, as they leave this system, that they will be well prepared to enter into the world of career, of life, of whatever the opportunity brings for them. It will just get better with time.
Powerful words and a powerful commitment to keep getting better with time in order to meet our mission of inspiring each student every day. But you know what? We are. And it's not just my word that you have to trust. Pat spoke a little bit about some statistics and research that they're doing. Last year, we conducted a statistically valid and reliable third-party survey as well to understand our families' and communities' feelings about our school. And I want to share a little bit of that data with you because I think it paints an important picture of the quality of our staff and the education we provide, which isn't always the story you might hear in the media about public schools. With our methodology, we do a random sample survey, which provides us good, valid, and reliable data. We look at the whole community and we look at parent groups, and we do this within a match set as well. We know we're a diverse community, and so we use our demographics to make sure that our sampling is also representative of the community that we serve. In that context, and we work with a third-party vendor who does this across the state and across the country. So that person's able to provide some context and some comparable data as well. We start with a big open-ended question of what comes to your mind, or how would you describe Eden Prairie schools? And I want you to just look at that list. There's something really unique about that list. I get to look at a lot of these for school districts. There's not a negative thing on there that comes up statistically out of that list. You can see what the top is: good teachers, high achieving, variety of programs, excellent education. And when the research and I were looking through this list, about the worst thing we could find is there's 2% of the people who said, well, you're average. I think we'll take that as we look at that. So let's move on and talk about quality of schools. We ask a question around how do you rate the quality of public schools? And as you look at that, you're going to see 99% of our parents are rating Eden Prairie schools excellent or good, 96% of the overall community. But then let's look at that excellent rating. You can see our marks last year, 56%. Right now in the state, that average excellence rating is 10%. So when you put that in context, it's off the charts high and puts us at the very top of the state. So with that, are we going in the right direction? And the data would certainly say absolutely. When you look at that, there's a resounding yes. With 86% of our parents saying we're going in the right direction, 83% of our community saying we're going in the right direction, all-time lows in terms of the wrong track. And so there is clear alignment for the direction that we're going as a school district. So let's dive into some specific perception around this, and we're going to start with trust. Trust in to do what's right for children. You can see 98% of our parents reporting back they trust us to do the right things for our kids. And as we look at that 98% rating, Eden Prairie Schools is a good investment or value. So are they proud of who we are and what we do? And when we ask this question, it's not just are you proud and would you recommend, but would you recommend to your friends and family, the people that you care the most about? 99% of parents are responding, yes, I'm proud of Eden Prairie Schools and would recommend them to friends and family. And we're at an all-time high point for satisfaction with communication about what's going on in the district with our parents and the community. So we keep making a lot of decisions as we continue to evolve our education. And so let's look at decision-making. 91% of our parents are satisfied with the decision-making processes that we use as a district. And as researchers, when we look at this, they look at a ratio of how many people are satisfied with that decision-making process versus not. When you look at that ratio, for us, it's 15-1 as a school district. The norm here in the metro area is 6-1 in terms of what that looks like. So we then ask about customer service, and we ask for the community-wide first. We say, have you had to contact Eden Prairie Schools on something that's important to you, a concern, an issue, something that you're worried about? You can see about 25% of our community has reached out to do that. If they have, we have a 95% satisfaction rating once they've contacted or reached out to working through that, with 2% unsure and 3% dissatisfied with whatever that result was. But then let's turn to our parents. Obviously, we have a lot more parents reach out with concerns or issues or things that are important to them, 42%. But then look at the satisfaction rating. Once they've reached out, 98% of our parents are saying, yes, we were able to come to that. So let's go back to value here in terms of financial management. Last year, we ran an operating levy to continue to make sure to fund our schools well and be able to support all the programs and services. That was passed by the community with resounding support. And whenever you do that as a public school district, typically what you're going to see in your survey data is that that financial management number goes down. You can see what happened with ours. We stayed very, very steady at 74% of our community saying, yes, the financial management in Eden Prairie Schools is strong. The norm around that in the metro area here is 52%. So let's boil it down to just one slide. If you're looking to do that, this is the slide that's short and sweet to you. And I'll be honest, as a superintendent, that slide's a little scary to me because there's not a lot of other directions for those numbers to go very far. But it also makes me feel incredibly proud of the work that our staff, our teachers, and everybody that's involved do on a day-to-day basis, because it reflects what I truly see going on in our schools day in and day out. The last slide I'm going to show you today from the survey is an important one. We spent a lot of time last year working on developing our next 5-year strategic plan. And I'll talk in a little more detail about that in just a moment here. But I want to point out here, when we look at support for the strategies that were developed in context with the community, the incredibly high level of support that we had from the community. You hear so often in the media around divisiveness or misalignment or things like that inside of communities around education. Our community is highly, highly aligned around our strategic work, and that wasn't by accident. You know, when I was here last year, I talked about our successful referendum and all the effort that went into it, and pretty much as soon as I left the stage, we went really into deep work around that strategic plan. That included meeting with staff at every single one of our schools and district departments, in-person and online community-wide meetings, with interpreters so everyone can participate, meetings with students. We train students to help us in that process and serve in leadership roles along the way as well. It included community surveys, day-long meetings with administrators, staff, students, parents, other community members to really understand and synthesize all of the data and the input that we were gathering and receiving, and then going back to the community to check in and say, did we get this right? Are we hearing correctly? Those robust efforts, combined with the survey numbers, make us feel really confident in the direction going forward. And so we are aligned. And we're in our first year of implementation of that next strategic plan over the next 5 years. So I want to talk just at a very high level about those strategies as we're in the early stages of implementation. And we've provided a great one-pager that's on everybody's table. So if you can see in the center, you can kind of follow along. Take that with you. You can go into a lot more depth than I'm going to go into today as you think about those results and strategies that are there. Our mission in Eden Prairie Schools is who we serve and what we do day in and day out. In Eden Prairie Schools, we inspire each student to learn continuously so they're empowered to reach personal fulfillment and contribute purposefully to our ever-changing world. Our mission outcomes are how we measure each year how we're doing, how do we monitor, how do we hold ourselves accountable, and how do we review progress to see if the strategies that we're employing and using are having the impact that we want. Our core values guide how we go about our work. They're how we operate internally and externally with each other, with our students, with our families, with our community. They're what we believe. In Eden Prairie Schools, we believe each person has intrinsic value. We believe each person has individual gifts, interests, and talents. We believe community benefits when each person contributes. We believe relationships flourish on a foundation of mutual trust and respect. And we believe continuous learning is essential for personal fulfillment, opportunity, and success. Our strategies are what we actually implement to work towards realizing our mission. We have 3 large overarching strategies that came forward through this process. The first is around authentic and personalized learning, and it's a perfect reference to some of the work around how are our students prepared for the trades, for post-secondary, for whatever is next in the world. And we want to take each of our students on an inspired journey where they have opportunities throughout their educational path to discover new things they didn't know about, things they were maybe curious about, things they wanted to go a little deeper into. To be able to discover those things and then be able to choose what to explore, what to go into in a little more depth, and finally to pursue. There are lots of great examples of how that's showing up in our implementation, from discovery groups at the elementary level to expanded options for exploration at the middle school into our capstones and partnerships, and we're going to continue to look for those with our business community and across our city in that space as we go through that. But we're not losing sight as well about our academic excellence and our tradition of that. We've continued to work towards making sure every single one of our students is prepared academically to go on and do great things. And that is a commitment by our staff to really, truly get into that personalized learning experience and see each of our students thriving. We have a brand new strategy around well-being, and this is for both our students and our staff. And so we're working to implement that, and we hear from the community how important that is at this point. And I'm sure many of you can hear and feel that across your organizations as well. This year at our staff kickoff, we kicked off a well-being fair. We provided a passport, and we had lots of community partners. Probably some of you in the room were there at tables, providing connections, providing supports, resources, other things for our staff and for our community as a whole. Our last overarching strategy is inclusion and belonging. We know how important it is for each of our students and our staff to feel like this is my space, this is my place, I belong here, I'm connected here, this is my community. And one of the things that we're doing across the district is ensuring that each of our staff members is training and learning around the tools of cultural proficiency to ensure that's truly true for each of our students as they move through our schools. A lot of exceptional work has happened in Eden Prairie Schools over the last year. As we celebrate our centennial, the natural question is, where do we go from here? In my last few minutes, I'd like to just touch on a few of those things. First, thanks to careful planning, effective stewardship of district resources, and the consistent support of our community, including last year's referendum, thank you again, Eden Prairie Schools has continued financial stability. This is important to me as a superintendent and to our district as a whole, because stable resources create excellent educational opportunities, experiences, and outcomes for our students. We promised 5 years of financial stability as part of last year's referendum, and our financial forecast is predicted to fulfill that promise. Second, in 2024, we're going to begin working with our community to identify the hopes and needs for experiences for students in our district over the next 10 years. So it was about 10 years ago that we worked with our community in developing and implementing designing pathways, which led to evolutions in programs and experiences and supports that better set up our students for success. It's now time to envision the next 10 years. So we're going to be talking about what student experiences should look like in 2035 and 36. So stay tuned for a little bit more information about how to get involved in that effort next school year, which will be key to shaping the future of our programs and our services. Third, we're going to launch a new district website later this spring, which we're really excited about. I don't want to give away too much information as we're finalizing some development still, but I think you're going to find the new site's a lot easier to navigate and give you information that you need when you need it and in the ways you want it. Finally, I want to just touch briefly on some upcoming events that we've planned as part of our 100-year celebration and ways that you can get involved. And so I know a few of you have asked me about some dates, so get out your pencil. You'll be able to scratch that down real quickly here. On April 27th, we're going to host a citywide parade to honor our history and our present. And I hope everyone's going to be able to come out for that and celebrate Eagle Pride through the decades. So mark your calendars for that. On May 17th, we're going to have a family fun day. It's a free event for all families that's going to be full of activities, food trucks, performances, and more. The Eden Prairie Historical Society is also going to provide a sneak peek of our updated historical gym on School Road. And then on May 18th, you're going to be able to get your groove on at a citywide prom. So dust off dresses or tuxes or I don't know, whatever it takes to be ready for that. We're going to have live music and displays capturing our last 100 years. There's a photo booth and some more. We've got a QR code up there that will direct you to go get a ticket, so you can do that. And it should be just a ton of fun. As we close out today, I hope you've been able to see how the state of Eden Prairie Schools remains really, really strong, especially because of the care and commitment, collaboration, and the support from our community. You know, our future is unwritten, but if it looks like anything like the last 100 years, it surely will be a remarkable story. Grace?
Take a second and remember. Think back to your very first day of school.
There were 17 graduates in the first class that I taught here. The total staff when I came were 11. That included everyone, the superintendent, principal, and so forth.
Some of us wanted to fight fires, soar through space, dance on the stage, teach others, or become parents. For a few of us, these dreams have remained the same. But for many of us, they have changed drastically through the different situations we've experienced and the wonderful people we've encountered.
It's the first class in the stadium, and for many, there were firsts during a year to move into new parts of the building. It's been a year of change and challenge.
Over the years, we have changed. We've grown as students, as community members, but most importantly, we've grown as people. Every person passing through this life will unknowingly deposit something and take something with them. All of us, both knowingly and unknowingly, have touched each other.
Every person who has ever been a part of our lives helps to shape us.
We grew up with so many beautiful memories that will last us a lifetime. We grew up full of dreams and hopes, heartbreaks and disappointments, wins and losses, tears and laughter, but we still have more growing up to do.
Your story has had many co-authors, people who have deeply influenced and shaped the path that your life has taken. When you walk out of here today, walk in confidence, walk in joy, hold empathy close to your hearts, and go write your own story.
Thank you for being here. It's my honor to bring up a great partner, Rick Getcho.
All right, thanks everybody. I'm the only thing standing between you and the exit. 20 more minutes, and all you have to do is put up with the city manager for 20 minutes, and you will be well on your way. Thank you to the chamber. Thank you to the award winners. That's awesome. School, it is a great partnership. We're really excited about the 100-year events. The mayor could not be here, but he did ask that besides the school board members, the other elected official in the room, Senator Steve Swazinski, be mayor for the day. So he's gonna cover the elected official duties on behalf of the city. And I'd like to also quickly introduce the other city employees that are here. In the far back right, if you guys could stand, we've got several members of our city communications team. Thank you. These guys are great. They helped put a lot of this together. And I believe everyone in this room knows who I thought was in the back left, David Lindahl, the city's economic development manager. Oh, there you are. You're back on the right side. Thanks, Dave. Dave's always moving around. Thanks, Dave. If you know me, and I think it'll be going on my 13th year, so I think I've done 12 or 13 of these. And I always try to have a little fun with it, and I always try to gamify things a little bit. And in the case of Eden Prairie, I don't even need to gamify Eden Prairie, because if you're not aware, I think it was last spring, a clue in the Jeopardy game was the city of Eden Prairie. We ended up on Jeopardy that I thought was pretty cool. And I believe the woman there got the answer correct, or at least we're going to assume that. And I think there was another previous year that we did this. Eden Prairie was a New York Times crossword clue. I think that was about 5 or 6 years ago. But kind of moving on to games, are you folks familiar with either of these New York Times very popular games? I think if you do the Wordle, you're like one of several million people that do a Wordle, and my kids really like the spelling bee as well. But do you know what the second fastest growing New York Times game is right now? You got it. It's called Connections. And so as I go through this presentation, we're going to play a little bit of Connections. If you don't know what Connections is, you can easily find it on your phone, New York Times, Connections, look it up. I had a hard time doing today's puzzle. I thought today's was very difficult, but the city version is pretty simple. And this is my example slide before I dive in to the state of the city slide. You kind of look at those words, right? See Case and Toomey and Narayan and Nelson and love and pride and happiness. In the game Connections, you have to put 4 words together into a similar theme. So 16 words, 4 words together in 4 different theme areas. And you've got to figure it out yourself. So I'm going to help you on this example one. The first one is cases not with Narayan, Toomey, and Nelson, cases with Tira Lukens, Tempest, and Harris, because those are 4 Eden Prairie mayors in the history of Eden Prairie. Another example would be, yes, the City Council of Narayan, Toomey, Freiburg, and Nelson. You're going to get to keep playing as we go through the presentation. And then is love with happiness, pride, and joy? No. Pride, satisfaction, happiness, and joy are all what you're experiencing at the State of the City today. But love goes with Rodgers, Favre, and Starr, 4 of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, with the wonderful Green Bay Packers team, that it was so close. I was so close to standing up here and saying we're going to the Super Bowl. Can you believe we got as far as we did? I can't. It's going to be a great year next year. I've got a Viking slide later on. So here's the connections for what we're going to do. Well, I mean, obviously the Vikings played a big part in Eden Prairie. Here's what we're going to play now, though. We're going to play Connections right now with the presentation that we have. Start thinking about 4 words that you can put together in a theme. And I'm going to start with what I think are some of the more difficult 4 words. And that would be residents are engaged, the overall economic health of the city is strong, city services are highly rated, and we're a safe city. Similar to what Josh and Pat shared, we also did a statistically significant community survey as well in Eden Prairie, similar sample, different company, similar results that I want to share briefly. And we had 7 major recommendations, and those were 4. And those are the impressions of our residents, right? That we are a safe community, our economic health is strong, our residents are engaged, and we're moving forward in a positive direction. We also benchmark ourselves against other cities in the state of Minnesota and other cities in the entire country. So if you can see on that far right slide, I think all 12 of those areas, I think we ask about all of our city services, but if you think about, for instance, our city planning services, our residents as compared to other residents in other cities throughout the country of similar sized cities, I think the benchmark is like cities of 20,000 to 200,000, rate our planning services the best in Minnesota and the country. Our snow plowing is second. I won't say to who. I know who. I think we're really first, but either way. In police services as well, you think about what our residents think about our police department, second in the state and 11th in the United States, I think out of 400 cities. If you went to our city website, you could download, I think it's hundreds of pages on what people think our services are and how we're doing. And that helps us create our work plan and build our budget, and that's also due to the employees that work here. So when we ask our city employees on their own what they think of the city as a workplace, for I believe it's 8 or 9 consecutive years, our employees rate our city as a great place to work and one of the top workplaces. So obviously you're not going to be delivering high quality services to your resident unless all of your employees enjoy what they're doing and at an affordable price. So this slide, I know Pat talked a little bit about the business concerns related to taxes. I'm going to talk briefly about city taxes. I did not create this slide. I found this slide. Another city was showing this slide at one of their presentations, and I came across it and I thought, well, I have to use that slide. Because if you look at 15 or 16 different similar sized cities neighboring us or near us, and you look at all of their tax levy increases since 2009 or since the Packers won their last Super Bowl around the time with Aaron Rodgers, in that 13 or 14 year period of time, you add up the cumulative increase in the tax levy, ours is the lowest of all of our neighbors. All I did was cut and paste that slide. I did not find other cities to compare it to. I didn't pick certain cities. I took the neighboring city that presented this and said, can I use this as often as I can in presentations that I give? And that city manager says, absolutely. So I think the key there is to show you the value for what you pay for. Having one of the lower city tax rates, as I believe our school is just as competitive in a low tax rate, providing high level of city services. I want to briefly run through some of the city council priorities and touch on those. A big part of anyone who comes to the state of the city, they want to hear about what's a development activity in the community. I'm going to share that and also talk about a few other initiatives the council has. So back to connections. What would be 4 more words to put together when you think about another theme? That would be some of our high-profile current development sites in Eden Prairie that are current or future. Eden Prairie Road near 212, in our Golden Triangle on West 70th Street, our Eden Prairie Town Center area, and what I'll call the former Viking site. Running through those quick, before I do that, wait a second. We are no longer the home of the Whopper, unfortunately. I think I stood up here a year ago and I talked about 2 Burger Kings that were empty and dilapidated and needed to be demolished. And they were. And I've also heard since then, and our mayor likes to talk about this, that those are 2 very high-profile locations here, the town center and at 4 and 5, next door. And other people like to say, why can't you get a Taco John's or a Cane's or some other restaurants? I think it's a great idea, but it's not a role the city plays. The city zones property, but also the Burger King franchises that own the property had clauses in their ability to sell that would not allow them to sell to any type of food business. So that's how you end up with 2 car washes. So now we're the car wash king. So you're going to see 2 new car washes at those 2 intersections, no longer the home of the Whopper, at least for now. Maybe next year I'll have a new update. When we look at some of those different areas, I want to really mention really quick what we call our Golden Triangle area. There's as many people that work in the Golden Triangle area within that 212, 494, 62 corridors live in the city. And there's a lot happening there. As you know, we've got Southwest Light Rail coming at some future date. And a stone's throw from that light rail location is a major apartment development that's occurring there and a major med tech company that's coming in. So the city council just last month approved permit for Aldeveron, a med tech manufacturing company, to come in from Fargo with 500 new jobs into the building that many of you might know as a former Blue Stem building, Super Value building, Best Buy building, if you go back 20 years. That's a pretty high-profile building. It's going to be reoccupied. There's going to be a 1,000-square-foot addition, 500 new jobs, and I think, as the mayor was saying, and Pat knows this because we had a meeting with a couple other med tech companies, our 20th med tech company in the city. So there's this really good article in the Eden Prairie Local News that talked about, we're becoming more of a med tech hub. And let's build on the fact that we're a med tech hub. I also want to really mention quickly, if you've been near Eden Prairie Road, Highway 212, you've seen quite a bit of housing development there. And the newest housing development is south of where our historic property for the Smith Douglas Morehouse, Smith Coffee is. But also we have a new major water reservoir city infrastructure project that's there. But if you're ever on the trail and you roam from the trail, there's a nice water fountain, a nice trail stop, kind of a historic depot replication along with like a small water tower replication. So there's quite a bit of development occurring there. And what else is there? I don't know what's going to go into the Amazon Fresh grocery store that is no longer. There were 6 or 7 of these that were being built out that Amazon said 75% of the way through construction, we're not going to do this anymore or do this right now. So if any of you, we've talked to some different grocers out there, but if you've got a lead, talk to Dave or I, and we can connect you as well. J.C. Penney's at the mall, similar to Sears. What a great redevelopment that was, Sears to Shields. That's been awesome. I think the next thing is what happens with J.C. Penney's over the next couple of years. But there is quite a bit of activity at the mall as well. And the Viking site, that is also a future development site, possibly a mix of office and retail and housing. The Wilfs still own that property, and I think their current commentary is, before we can really dive into that site, well, we need to get a quarterback. We need to get that figured out first. So they're working on a quarterback, and then they're going to move into that site. All right, two more connection pieces. I think one of the next ones is pretty obvious, and people always want to hear about restaurants, right? What are the new restaurants? And every year I have a slide or two that shows you some of the new restaurants coming in. We got quite a few restaurants that are coming in and around the mall. And we hear from the mall that where the former Prairie Ale House and or TGI Fridays is going to be a Korean barbecue and a ramen in that area. We've got a Crisp and Green that went in where part of Jake's used to be, and that's now open for business, along with a pet hospital that relocated. We've got a new Indian restaurant. We've got a new Asian restaurant. And even though Woody's and Campiella's over on Shady Oak Road have closed, Woody's has turned into this Brazen Public House, which has gotten a lot of really good reviews. I'm sure the same will happen with Campiella. We're looking at our second Chipotle that may be approved as soon as, I believe, the next council meeting to go in over by Jerry's. And then the Associated Bank near the mall is now the Godavari Indian restaurant. So that's just a sampling of some of the new restaurants that are coming in. And of course, let's not forget about the Asia Mall. I think there's 7 or 8 or 9 opportunities and counting and growing at that excellent reuse of a former Gander Mountain big box retail. What a great, turning that into a food hall it's been such a positive experience for the city. And when that opened, parking was an issue because people were coming in all throughout the metro area, and I think they've alleviated some of that, but it's a very popular location. I said earlier, I've been doing this for 13 years or 14 years, and I have to have the obligatory LRT slide. All I'm going to say is that almost 90%, if not more, of the construction in Eden Prairie is done, and now it's a matter of sitting and waiting for Met Transit to come in and test the trains and operate the trains and open around 2027. And we will await that. In the meantime, I think people talk about a lot of the development that I shared, people will say is built around LRT coming. Really quickly, the city, we have a focus on sustainability. We've enhanced our city events. We created new building standards within our city code that have more of a carrot effect. We're not requiring anybody to build to certain sustainability standards. We're asking that they do if they request any financial assistance or other assistance from the city. We continue to focus on fleet electrification. You may remember, we were one of the first cities to get an all-electric police car. Now we have 2 electric Zambonis at our community center, electric pickup trucks, more electric police cars on the way, in addition to electric garbage trucks and other vehicles is reducing our carbon footprint as well. Infrastructure is really important in Eden Prairie. If you live or move around here, one of the major infrastructure projects we had last year is Duck Lake Road, which is not far from the high school. That project won a state award for the best infrastructure project in the state of Minnesota for all the work that was done with the bridge and the pier and the trail and the curb and the gutter and the major stormwater features for those that live off Duck Lake. The next thing is Dell Road. Dell Road is one of the last gravel roads in the city of Eden Prairie, and it will be reconstructed similar to what you see if you drive down to Flying Cloud Road or Lions Tap on Eden Prairie Road. So it's going to be a similar reconstruct to that in the coming years. And then with our park system, if you've been to Starring Lake Park, the amphitheater of the park, a beautiful new building there. The next building that's opening up next week actually is at Round Lake. So if you've been to Round Lake across from the high school for 3rd of July, the 4th of July, a beautiful new building is about to open up, and we are also continuing to be the international home of pickleball. There could never be enough pickleball courts in Eden Prairie, so I think we're talking about at least 12 new courts throughout the city, 8 more outdoor courts at Riley Park to match what we have at Miller Park to match what we have at Starring, and then out at Riley Park. I don't have time to show my public safety video. Josh had some great videos, but I'll make sure this gets posted on the replay. But we have an excellent police and fire department. Public safety is kind of the 24/7 everyday focus of what your city government should provide you, and ours is second to none.
The Eden Prairie community is something that's been growing for years. Our department has grown, our community has grown, but the level of support from our community is fantastic.
Once you put this vest on and you put a badge on, it's not about you anymore. It's about everyone else around you.
A lot of what policing is building that community trust and being seen and being out there and listening to people's concerns.
We're at Coffee with a Police Officer. We do public park events. We have fishing with a police officer, things to engage the community so that they come and they can understand what we do.
When we do those outreach programs, that gives us a chance to really interact and let the community get to know us. You know, I looked up to the police and fire departments as a little kid. You know, when I'd hear the sirens going down the street, I'd run to the window. I was that kid. It's now my chance to be that officer that these kids can look up to like I did, and that's pretty cool.
And finally, in the last connection piece that you put together, that what is left? Events, engagement, and community activity. And I think it's really important to mention we have a variety of events and activities. We have quite a bit of civic engagement that we're doing, our partnership with the Chamber in the Mayor's Roundtable Breakfast, our entrepreneur work with the Chamber and the school as well. We again partner with the school. We've had many different students coming through the city to see what a career in local government could be. And then one of our newer initiatives is our police chief, Matt Sackett, if you have not met him. He does kind of these pop-up events throughout the community where it's coffee with the cop, coffee with the department. And I think he did 4 of those just in the last quarter last year. And he has, I think, 2 more planned in the next couple weeks to get out and about. And also, if any of you want to do a deeper dive more than 20 minutes into the city, you can do 4 hours a night for 6 consecutive nights into April and May. If you ever want to get away from home, get out and about. I've watched many husbands want to get away from their wives that want to get away from their husbands and be a council member for a day, drive a garbage truck, dress up in fire turnout gear, and be involved in the City Government Academy. But at the very least, at least our city survey says that many of you have taken part in our city events. 3rd of July, 4th of July, and also building on what I would argue would be even more events to embrace the diversity in our community. We had our first ever iftar last year. We had a Diwali celebration at the end of last year, in addition to our winter events and our summer events and our fall events as well. So hopefully you are engaged, and if you're not going to make it to these events, you're not going to do a deep dive into the Government Academy, one thing you can do if you want to is if you just go to EdenPrairie.org at any time, there'll be a pop-up screen that'll ask if you want to enter your email address and be on a list to receive information as varied as updates from the police department, recreation activities, city manager Friday report, any major announcements from the city council meetings, commission meetings, because as you can see, we have tens of thousands of people that are following us on our social media accounts or on our city website. So if you have not done that, please do. And if there's any other takeaway too that's new to you, start playing the connections game. It's harder on your phone than it is up here, but it's worth giving a try. So with that, on behalf of Pat and Josh, thank you. And also, we usually like to have a couple giveaways at the end of the event. And I think the schools joined us this year with some giveaways. I usually like to do a trivia question, but I think maybe the simple thing here with some of the school and city swag is who is at this event or not this event? Is this the first time that you've been at any chamber event? If this is your first chamber event, please raise your hand. Well, you guys, the good news is you get some free city school swag. So stick around and come up, and we'll give you some of that city swag. Pat, I don't know if you have any final last words. Thank you. Thank you.
So just to wrap up, want to again thank Josh for a great presentation, Rick for a great presentation, as much as I would prefer you talk more about our Vikings. I understand it's tough when you leave your home state of Wisconsin to come to Minnesota and change colors, I guess. I do want to, the nice thing wrapping up is to say a few things, and that is, one thing I didn't highlight on our survey was one of the questions was issues in the city or related maybe to schools. And the reason I really didn't cover that is because the answers were people couldn't think of anything other than more restaurants. So maybe the losing the Whopper played an impact in that answer, I don't know, but that's an area that we did hear some things, and of course we love playing on words and saying we're Eden Prairie, not Eden Prairie. And then to capitalize on your 4 fun words, wrap up the chamber week with one final event that is fun, food, happiness, and connections. And as I would say, men, Valentine's Day is coming up February 14th. I know we usually start shopping about February 13th. But if you want to get ahead of the game, come out to Fat Pants tonight because we have Purse Bingo hosted by our women's group. And if you want to win a purse or just make the connections, have some fun. Kirsten, what's the first ball drops at? At 7. So if you want a table, get there early because we do get a large crowd for that. But that'll be a fun event. Maybe not quite as fun as this event, but pretty darn close. So with that, we'll cut you loose. If you have some individual questions, please come on up and talk with us. And again, thank you all for being here. And more importantly, thanking all of you for making Eden Prairie a great place to live, work, and play and run business. So thank you and enjoy your afternoon.